Okay, get away from the highway here. Today I'm going to be hiking the part of the Ozark Keystone Trail that runs from Bidwell Point up, well, all the way north to the Missouri state line. I'm not going to be covering all of that today, but I'm probably going to go in 4 or 5 miles and then turn around and come back. So hopefully get maybe an 8 to 10 mile hike in today, depending on how it goes. This trail should be pretty clear of undergrowth. There's a few spots that could have some, but anyhow, we're here starting. It's 7:30 something in the morning on September 10th of 25, and get down this first little drop off here to where the main trail starts. And get ready to get going. What you see ahead of you is what the first part of this trail looks like for quite a ways. It's a good 4-foot wide tread that runs along the lake here. So there's not just a lot of scenic spots in this first section. So I'm going to shut the camera off and get to trucking up the trail, and I'll film bits and pieces as we get to them. See you later. Okay, well, been trucking along here about 10 minutes or so. First tree down across the trail. Now they'll have cleanup crews in here next month, I believe, about the middle of October, and they'll probably have this all removed before the prime season. Other than that, you can see it's the same kind of trail stretching on ahead of us. So I'll switch the camera off and we'll see what we find later. Yeah, little idea with all the rains we had this year early in the year and as high as the lakes got, you can see all the driftwood and tangle that's washed down the lake and been left behind on the shoreline. So that's what will be all the way up the lake, I'm sure. But here's the trail going ahead of us. We're making pretty good time. Got woods up to the right. The highway is still up that way, not too far away. So anyhow, I'll shut the camera off and keep on trucking. Here's a shot from the trail out across Lake Norfolk here. You can see the bluffs over on the other side. Nice calm morning out here this morning. Not too many boats or anything out yet. Of course, it's a weekday. So anyhow, here we go ahead. You can see more down timber ahead, but looks like the trail's going to skirt. Yeah, right along the back side of this. Again, lots of timber left behind. See you later. Came to the second tree across the trail. Again, they'll be in here in a month probably and get this removed. But this is an easy one to step over. So we'll do that and keep going. We've been trucking along. Got another little one down here. This one won't be too bad for him to cut apart and get out of the way. We just crossed this little ravine here. And again, you can see a lot of the wood piled up back in there from this last summer. So anyhow, we're not too far from crossing our first paved road up here. Making pretty good time. We'll just keep going. See you later. And got another one that's at least kind of across the trail. Very easy to bypass. But I'll take a shot of it anyhow in case the trail crews want to see it. Catch you later. First little road crossing. Obviously a gravel road that just goes down to the lake down there. I think there's some docks down that way. And across the way you see the trail going on. There's one of their picnic tables sitting there if you wanted to rest at it. This first section of the trail down in through here, they continue that of putting a picnic table right about every mile. It stops up here somewhere as you go into the wildlife management area, I think. But anyhow, we're doing good. I'll catch you later. After we cross that first gravel road, We've got a big limb come down and it's pushing some smaller trees underneath it. Again, easy to get around, but I'll capture it for the trail crews in case they want to take a look. See you later. Okay, we've been trucking along. Here's our next crossing of a paved road. This is comes back in off Highway 101 and loops around and goes up further north and goes by some of the resorts up here along the way. But for us, we'll just truck right on across and pick up the trail on the other side. And still at this point, as you can see, a very good trail. Again, about a 4-foot wide tread, and it just keeps trucking back here through the woods. We'll cross the the road one more time up here, and then go down along the lake shore for a while. So anyhow, I'll cut the camera off and see you in a few. Okay, not a bad area, but the worst undergrowth, if you will, or weed growth that I've seen on the trail so far. And it's not bad. You've got a path here through it. But that's about the worst patch I've seen, and it looks pretty clean up ahead. So, good on that side of the coin. The undergrowth does not appear to have taken over this trail this summer. See you later. Again, a little more undergrowth now that we're up here in behind where the resorts are. And it's not bad. Definitely have a trail through here, not having to wait them too much. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see that the undergrowth has not taken over. Wow, this is good. Okay, well, you can see it ahead. I'll shut the camera off and see you in a little bit. Okay, got a little bit of trash down here. We're coming up on a gravel road crossing that I believe just goes down and goes to those docks down there, a little loop trail. Got a little parking area there, but there's a big sign that says resort parking only. So I wouldn't come down here looking to park here to hike. So anyhow, here's our trail. Across here going on. We'll get over here. All right. And again, you can see the trail ahead of us. Nice open trail. So looking good. See you in a little bit. Just to get something a little different here. Here's the old stone well that sits along here. I have no idea when it was built. They've got it covered, of course, because people were throwing stuff in it. But that's been there a few years. There's a foundation, I believe, back behind there. If you go back there and look around. And an old horse tub sitting out here by the trail that has seen its better days. Yeah. Okay, well, trail's still good. On we go. Okay, so we make our way on around. Just thought I'd capture this real quick. A little bit of an area of growth. Not real bad. But this is, again, one of the most overgrown areas that I've seen back here. So that won't take too long to clear. And there's another picnic table. Okay, and on we go, winding through the trees. I thought I'd turn the camera back on. We're not very far from the trolley that runs down from Three Oaks Resort to the lake. A little bit of growth in this area, but nothing bad. The trail is still visible going through it, and you're not wading it to your waist or anything. So, as far as undergrowth grows so far, there hasn't been just a lot of it on this trail. So that's good news. Okay, well, you can see it ahead. I'll shut the camera off and see you in a little bit. Okay, we've made it back to the trolley. And this trolley runs from the Three Oaks Resort up here down to the lake and their dock. Three Oaks Resort, I will say, is graciously hosting the trail cleanup cruise this year. And they did so last year also. When they come up here in October to work on these sections of trails and get them ready for the winter hiking season. So thank you, Three Oaks Resort. Quite an ingenious way to get your people down to the lake. Anyhow, there's the trail on the other side. I'll climb over this, see you in a little bit. A little way past the trolley, you come to this big gully here. You want to kind of watch. Don't take off to the right. I know it kind of looks like a trail maybe up through there. The trail actually goes straight ahead here, and there is a blaze on that tree. This is stay straight. And this is steep enough. They have put a rope on here to give you a little bit of a handhold as you're going across, and then to help you up the other side, because this is kind of steep and rough going down in through here. So I think I will try to get down through it and up on the other side. I don't know how much further I'll try and get today. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. I think your rope's starting to show some wear. I don't know how much I would trust it. Okay. There. Come on. All right. Okay, well, here we are. You can see the trail here. A little more overgrowth going on back in here. And that's kind of what I expected. This section of trail doesn't get as much traffic as the main part out there that we've been on. Spider webs. Yeah, picked up a couple of hitchhikers here. Okay, well, I'll shut the camera off, head on up a ways. See you in a few. Okay, well, I'm going to stop here for today. This is just a little over 4 miles in. So for me, going out and back, this will be about a little over an 8-mile round trip, which is about what I was hoping to get in. So anyhow, you can see the trail heading down the hill here, and it curves down there and around closer to the shore, and then goes up again. So that's where I'm stopping, is right here, and may come back in from the other side one of these days and try and finish this puppy off. See you later. Okay, I'm back out on the Ozark Keystone Trail this morning, and a 3 weeks ago I did from Bidwell Point up a little over 4 miles, and then turned around and went back. Came in this morning and I wanted to go on and start finishing off this section all the way up to Red Bank. Now I won't get that today. I started at the Driftwood Lane trailhead this morning, and I hiked back in here about where I ended. So I'm going to pick up here and I'll film parts of this coming back out to the Driftwood Lane trailhead, and then come back and finish it up another day. But anyhow, this is a nice spot here down in this ravine, and you've got a good drop off here. If you could get in here when a good rain was coming, there'd be probably a good waterfall coming over this ledge here. Anyhow, I'm going to get started heading back toward Driftwood Lane now, and I'll film bits and pieces of it. I'm not going to film the whole thing, but we start out from here. We got an uphill to go, so I'll get started. Catch you in a few. And just to capture the trail at this point, it's going to run along these hills here for a little ways, and right now we're up at a higher point, and you can see it's fairly level, nice and wide trail. Not a lot of problems finding your way through. There are blazes on the trees at different junctions and stuff, and you can see the trail going ahead of us here. So I'm going to shut the camera off and we'll keep going. See you later. Well, we're in the next little gully, and the section we just came through, we dropped from kind of the high point there. We dropped down 2 or 3 little switchbacks that weren't big, had some steep little downhill areas in them. And now then, as we come up out of this gully, you can see the trail climbing back in elevation ahead of us. Got a blaze up there on the tree that says it's going to bend to the left. So we will head that way and catch you in a few. Okay, we've been winding along the hillside up and down, and now we've hit a point here that along the trail, if you see this marker here, of course it indicates the trail going both directions, but it also indicates to you there's a sign here and there's a blaze that points up to the left. That is 815 road up there. There's not a trailhead there, but someone could come down there and pick you up if you needed to. So anyhow, that's where we're at. And now we're going to start quite a bit of downhill for a while now. And we'll make up for it here shortly, because then we'll have to turn around and go back up. But anyhow, again, the trail is really pretty good. Very little tree limbs or anything like that down on it. Not much undergrowth. It is rocky, of course, but that's normal for trails around here. So anyhow, I'm going to shut the camera off and we'll catch you in a little bit. On this section we're on now, where we're going to do quite a bit of downhill, this is kind of what it looks like. There's some short switchbacks mixed in here and fairly steep little downhill. So nothing horrendous. But anyhow, we got a ways to go. Our next big event will be hitting 817 road. See you in a few. Okay, well, we got down the hill and all the way down to our next little ravine. So we're making pretty good time. This one has a small pour over here. Not a real big one, but looks like our trail takes off here and heads up to the left before starting uphill again. So we'll shut the camera off and start heading that direction. See you later. Okay, where these two posts are, that's our crossing of 817 road. Which you can see is fairly rough. Now we'll cross it again here shortly. It is a loop down here by the lake. So yeah, we'll cross it again here in just a little bit. You can drive part way down 817 road. There's a couple rough spots up in there. It really depends on your vehicle and stuff, how far down you can go. But you can get down it part way anyhow. Not really a trailhead here. Okay, and going out the other side, you can see again we got two posts side by side. Just go right through those, and we're back on the trail. I'll shut the camera off. See you in a few. Here we are, crossing the other side of 817, where it makes its loop. And you can see the trail right ahead of us, winding its way down the hillside. Okay, and we'll go along here for a while, kind of angling down, and then we'll have a pretty good uphill climb to get up on a ridge and head on back around to where we'll actually be by a cove on the lake. But anyhow, we will keep trucking. See you in a few. Okay, as you're going along the trail, you come to two more poles together here, and the trail goes right between them. Comes out down here. There was a old road parking area. I have no idea what was down in here back in the past, but when you get here, just look straight ahead and you'll see two more poles ahead of you. That's where the trail goes. Just head that way and keep on going. See you later. Okay, and as we work our way along, here's the next little ravine that we come to. And we're making decent time. We've only been on the way back, what? Oh, about 45 minutes or 50. So we're making pretty good time. Anyhow, as you can see on the other side, we got to go back up the hill again. So we'll head out and catch you later. Okay, here we come down to our next gully, and on the other side of this one, we will start to go up the next hillside, and that'll be a pretty good climb. I'm trying to remember. I think that's about 100 and, we'll say 80 feet or so of elevation gain. So that'll be a pretty good climb. But we'll have a little easier terrain for a while after that. And then we'll have a big hill to go up and over to get down towards the trailhead. So I'm going to shut the camera off here for a minute. See you in a few. Okay, well, we've made it up out of the gully. That's a good solid climb up out of there. But we are getting close to tying into an old road up here. And that'll be pretty easy walking until we get back down by the cove to the lake. Getting through there is a little rough today because of all the driftwood. We got one more big hill to go over. So we're getting there. Trail again's been in pretty good shape. Not a lot of down timber anywhere. No big weeds to speak of. So not too bad. But anyhow, so I'm going to turn the camera off. See you in a little bit. Okay, well here's where we tie into one of the old roads up here in the wildlife management area. And you can take these on out, and there's another one that loops together out closer to the lake. But in our case here, we turn to the right and head on down the hill, heading back toward the cove right there along the lake where all the driftwood piles up. We'll see what that looks like when we get there. See you later. And this is where this part of the trail or old road joins in with another spur. You can see the blaze there on the tree. You want to bear right. And then we've got an arrow over here on this one saying turn right. So when you get to this junction, listen to the signs and bear right. And this road will take us on down the hillside here and wind in alongside a cove off of Lake Norfolk. So anyhow, we'll be trucking down this old road. I'll see you in a few. Well, we followed the old road all the way down, and we're down here alongside the cove now. And you can see the driftwood that was put up here this last summer. But it's a pretty good downhill grade coming down to here. Part of that old road is good walking. It's not a lot of rocks or anything. But when you start down the hill down here to this cove, it changes its disposition pretty drastically and becomes very rocky. And you just got to take your time on it. But anyhow, we're down along the cove now, and it should be a good walk across here. Then our last big obstacle, we've got one more good hill to go up, and then we got to go down the other side of that, and we'll be at the trailhead. Anyhow, I'll shut the camera off and see you in a little bit. Once you cross that flat area along the cove there, you come to this, and I'll leave the camera on for a minute. You've got this little drainage area here that you need to get across. And then I just wanted to capture this and show you where all the driftwood was carried up to. This is how high the lake had to be this summer. To deposit all of this. So, yeah, we're going to go around this, and then that hill goes, and it's a hard way to finish a hike. It's steep, really rutted, so just a slow process. Anyhow, we'll see you on the other side of the hill. Okay, about 3/4 of the way up the hill, we ran into this. So I thought I would get a short shot of it. It's easy enough to step over. And we still got that grade up ahead to go. Okay, well, up to the top of that, we'll have it made. See you then. Well, we're on top of the hill now. We've got to just get down the other side, and then it's only about probably 50 yards to the trailhead. So we got this one under control. Anyhow, I'll get a shot as we go down the hill, and when we hit the trailhead, so I'll see you then. Okay, well, we've come down a little ways. You can see the hill going down, and when it breaks around that corner, it gets a little steeper even yet. But anyhow, it won't be long now. So I'm going to work my way on down and see you at the trailhead. Here we come back to the trailhead. This is at the bottom of Driftwood Lane down by the lake. It's actually named for the wildlife management area. And for the life of me, I can't remember that name right now. But if you come all the way down Driftwood Lane down here, you'll find it. But, so we're back at the car. I'll cut this off, be piecing video together. I got one more segment to do to be able to put out a complete video on this segment of trail. So we'll let it go for today and see you later. Okay, here we go. Okay, I got the lens wiped off. We're back down at the trailhead down here at the bottom of Driftwood Lane. And this is where we came out the last part of the hike. We came out from over there. And we're going to take the next segment today and head on up towards Red Bank. And hopefully that'll let me complete this segment from Bidwell Point up to Red Bank. And I can get an updated version out on the YouTube channel. Because I think my last set of videos from up here is probably 3+ years old. Not a lot of changes, but a few. So anyhow, when you leave the trailhead here, where those 3 posts are, there is a sign there now that says there's David's Trail, which this is part of David's Trail, which is part of the Ozark Keystone Trail, which is part of the Ozark Highlands Trail. So if you're looking online for a trail information, you might be able to look under any 3 of those and find something. Okay, well, we're heading back here toward Red Bank. That's where I parked this morning and hiked over from there. Wanted to start this from the south and hike north, because that's what I've done on the other segments of it. This segment of trail kind of captures all the essences of the trail along Lake Norfolk here. There's parts of it like this that are a good forest walk. The tread is nice, soft soil, and it's really good. There's other parts that are exceedingly rocky and a little rougher to walk on. And then this also has the benefit of one very large ravine to cross that they have modified the trail across it since the last time I was through here, and it's a little easier now. But then you have 2 large hills that ascend a bluff line as you're heading over toward Red Bank, and those are very rocky and pretty steep and pretty long inclines, so they'll give you a workout at the end of the hike for sure. But I'll just film portions of this today and put all three of them together. Try to have one continuous video from Bidwell Point all the way up to Red Bank. I think that is, I'll have to verify this looking at mapping systems and stuff, but I think this is right around 9 miles, maybe as much as 10 from Bidwell Point up here. But I'll check that out and put it in the video somewhere, maybe at the end, to just let you know. It can be through hiked if you've got a car to leave at each end. It's not, I've split it into 3 just simply because I have to leave a car at one trailhead and hike out and then back. So I double the mileage when I hike. And I'm getting to the point that 10 to 12 miles hiking in the daytime is about all I want. So, okay, well, you can see the trail ahead of us here. It's a little vague in spots, but pretty visible over here. We're going to have some uphill climbs going on, but I'm going to shut the video off for now, and we'll pick up another segment in a few minutes. See you then. Thought I'd just catch a short shot here of the terrain and the plant life along the trail. As you can see, this is pretty much old growth forest here. And I think the trail up here, we're going to take a sharp downturn into our first gully crossing on our way back up. I'll leave the camera on here for just a minute and see if I'm right. Oh yeah, got a good little downhill here. I will say this, day before yesterday, it rained really hard around here all day. So while yesterday was dry and somewhat sunshiny, the trail is still pretty muddy in spots, and you've got to be a little careful with your footing. And as soon as I say it, I started to slip. So yeah. All right, there, we made it down that little section, and this is our first ravine crossing up here. I'll go on and get to there before I shut the camera off. All right, this is the first crossing on the way back, and as you can see by all the stones deposited in the ravine, that we got our share of rocks down here. Anyhow, here's the trail going out the other side, heading back uphill along here for a ways. I'm going to shut the camera off, and I'll catch it in a few minutes. See you then. Okay, we're been trucking along, and we come to an old road crossing here. I don't know off the top of my head the county road number on this, and I don't know how accessible it is up at the upper end. It definitely goes down to the lake, it looks like down here, but it would be you'd want a good four-wheel drive vehicle probably. Anyhow, the trail comes over here, and if you look Right ahead of us there's a blaze on the tree saying this is where the trail goes. So we'll continue heading that way. And I think our next big spot will be the large ravine to get across. And again, they have improved that to where it's much easier to get across than it was, I guess, 3 years ago when I came through here. So anyhow, I'll shut the camera off. See you in a little bit. Okay, here we're approaching the large ravine, and I did want to be sure and caution you, if you have hiked this trail before, the old portion of this trail in its crossing. Let me get down here just a little bit further. Came down here. And went down this little shelf down there to the left. And that's still, okay. The best way to get down in here, I guess. But where they have changed it is down here at the bottom. Yeah. And again, this is one of those with mud and rocks. I'm a little cautious going down it. I'd just as soon not do a face plant. All right. Okay. Well, where they've cleaned it up is right here at the crossing. Because this used to be kind of difficult. It was loaded with old driftwood. So where it was very difficult to pick your route across it. And you kind of went down a little further down there and crossed up into where that weed patch is. They've kind of brought it more around to the right and angled it up the hill here. So this makes this ravine steep in and out of, but much easier to get across down here in the bottom. Okay. All right, we're past that obstacle. Now we got a little over a mile back, I think, to the Red Bank trailhead. I'll shut the camera off and see what we find along the way. Capture a short little view on this section of the trail on back to the trailhead. We'll be hiking along rock slabs like this. Is what created some of the big bluffs and stuff down here. But you'll have a number of them like this along the way back. So if you like rock formations, this part of the trail has got them. See, in a few, well, we've completed kind of a level walk along the cove there. And now we turn and start up the bluff line here to head on up to Red Bank. And you can see here in front of me the climb starting out. And in all honesty, it stays that way for a reasonable amount. So I'll probably not film much of the hill going up so you don't listen to me pant. And then when we get up on top, I'll shoot a few shots out across the lake. See you then. Well, we're most of the way up the first hill, but I wanted to get this shot out across Lake North Fork. You can see the leaves are turning color. We haven't had our first frost yet, but it could be any day. But anyhow, nice view out across the lake. So anyhow, I'm going to keep plodding up this hill, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, pretty much at the top of that hill, there's a remnants here from the early settlers. Unlike most parts of the country, the settlers built with what they had. And they had rocks here, so they built pretty much everything out of stone. You can see the foundation here. Let me get over on the other side. So you can kind of see it running along here. Not a very big place, but it's lasted quite well. They had some concrete at that time, looking at what they've got here. But that's not unusual. This is probably in the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. Stone fireplace has withstood the ravages of time. And over here, I'm guessing this was the root cellar for storing foodstuffs and stuff. I don't know that for sure, but that was way before the lake was here, when that was just a river down there at the bottom of the hill. Did want to get a shot back here of the old chimney. That's a lot of stonework to build a chimney that way. But anyhow, so here goes our trail ahead of us, and you can kind of see we've got some weed growth going on here. The cleanup crews have come through once with chainsaws and cleared, I think all the down trees have been cut and out of the way. But they'll come back through probably in January or so and come through with weed eaters and brush eaters and clear some of this other stuff out of here. But anyhow, we're making our way back. I'll shut the camera off and see you in a little bit. We're approaching the end of the trail here shortly. Thought I'd capture some more of the rock slabs that project out here along the trail. But we're getting there. We've crossed the major uphills and we're on the downhill side now, so it shouldn't be too much longer. Anyhow, I'll shut the camera off and catch you when you get close to the trailhead. Bye. Trailhead, that'll complete this segment from Bidwell Point all the way up here to Red Bank. So we are here. I'll wrap this up and get the whole video put out on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Bye.